So an OIM, in order to deploy custom code, they force you to run these command line things like load jar, and then from there you can delete jars, or you can load plugins and purge cache and delete jars and things like that. So what I did was I converted them all to OIM scheduled tasks, so you can run them from the command line and not have to, or run them from the UI and not have to deal with all the command line questions. It's very annoying. Unfortunately, you have to do it at least once to install this jar. So we'll get to that here in a second. So in order to run an OIM task, you need this task support thing. So we got that. And over here we have a base task that extends the base task to purge cache, so we don't have to keep implementing all those other methods here. So we have purge cache. This one does a register plugin. This one will reload a jar. Okay, you put the jar on a temp directory somewhere and just tell it where it is and run it. This will unregister a plugin. And of course we saw the register plugin, and we have our base task. So all we need to build it is the OIM client jar in your JDK. So I'm using NetBeans, so we can just build a jar. Okay, then we can push the jar to our OIM server that we have running here. So let's connect to the OIM server. Okay, got the downloads here. So where is this thing? It's over here. And there's the jar. Okay, we pushed it to the server. The next thing we'll do is we'll deploy it and import the scheduled tasks. Okay, so we uploaded our jar to the downloads folder in our home directory, and since we're the Oracle account, same as what's running OIM, we don't have to do anything else. But in most cases, you may have to do a change ownership of this thing so you can import it. So if you upload it as some other user, now you want to import this into OIM, you're going to have to change this to the same user that you're running Oracle under. Most likely it's Oracle, so you'll have to do that. And you could just make it, global readable to import it. Okay, so we talked about that. So now the shell scripts are in here, and you'll see that there's these upload jars, bats, and stuff like that. So we're going to look at we're going to run the shell script. So we have to make it executable first of all. There we go. Now we can run upload jars. And of course we have to fill out all of this crazy stuff. So I'll go ahead and pause and we'll do that. Okay, so here are the ones we had to set for running utilities. The following variables have to be set. So here's what we set them to. This is where everything is installed. At least I'm pretty sure that's what it's supposed to be. So let's see if we can upload this thing. Do cl sysADM. Hopefully I didn't goof that up. Okay, so we're going. And then we want this one for our context factory. Let's see if it works. Okay, so what we're uploading here is a scheduled task. And the location I don't even remember what I called it. Is that terrible? OIM jar utilities. No, we only want to load this one. Alright, so it says it loaded it. Let's go see. So we can go look here in the database. Okay, it loaded up. It's a scheduled task. Here's the blob. So in case you ever need to decompile one of these, you can download these blobs as a jar and then run them through JD GUI. That's one of my favorite things to do to hack into these connectors. Okay, so we got it loaded. Now the next thing we do is try it out. All right, so here's the XML we're going to have to import. These are task XML files. Once we import these, we have to actually go in and then create a job. I don't like to keep the job XML around. It's just too much of a headache. So here's our delete jar. You see the name is delete jar. It's the description name. We're putting all of our stuff in the custom folder for MDS. And we got the name of the XML file there. The same for purge cache. Same for register plugins, same for reload jar and unregistered plugins. So everything is in the XML files. The version is here. You may have to set that depending if you're 0.3 or 0.4 here or 2. So mileage may vary on those, but it should work either way. Your JDK is probably also very important. You want to get it as close as possible to your OIM and make sure you get that OIM client that goes with it. Okay, so we can start importing these guys. Let's go over here and get into OIM. You have to do the imports from the admin side. Nah, it's not what I wanted to do, is it? All right, do the delete. Purge cache. Register plugin. Reload jar. And unregistered plugin. Okay, all our tasks are imported. So now what we'll do is we'll come back and set up the jobs. All right, so to set up the jobs, we have to do that in the identity side. So we go to manage, configuration, scheduler. Okay, create job. Okay, we can call this one purge cache. No retries. Template, purge cache. Okay, and the type is all. I think there you go. And it's not on a schedule. We're going to run it manually when we need to. Yep. Okay. All right, just for. Okay. Well, hopefully it's going to start up here soon. There we go. Okay, it worked. So let's do the load jar. Reload jar. Okay, so now here what we're going to do is put in a jar name. So I'm going to call it that for now. And then I usually put them in my downloads directory. So we'll just put that there just for fun. Ignore delete means that if we run, so when this code runs, it's going to delete the jar first. And if it's not there, it's going to fail. So we want it to ignore that. And we do want it to delete the jar if it's already there. And in this case, for this particular one, it's a third party. Okay, now a lot of these will tell you what the types are. You can have Java task, schedule task, ICF bundle, third party. You can load any of those types. Just make sure you get this right. Or if you load it as a third party and it's a scheduled task, it won't work and you'll be pulling your hair out. So what you would do then is run the delete jar job and get rid of it and then reload it again correctly. Okay, so now that we have those filled in, we can go next, next, and again, this is none, next, and we'll create this job. All right, now, I don't know, we're not going to use the OIM wrapper. That one's pretty fat and ugly. I created a smaller version called OIM helper, and we're going to do that next. We're going to show how we use the OIM helper to make it easier to write some of these scheduled tasks. All right, so let's go in and do the delete jar. None. Delete jar. Jar name. Now this will be the jar name that's in the database here. So when you go look in the database and you want to delete, it's one of these names. So this is where you would delete an ICF bundle type if you wanted to get rid of that one. Okay, where are we? Back here, I think. Yep. All right, so jar type. This is a third party again. And we'll just say next, next, no schedule, next, create. Yes. Okay, so what did we do? We did our purge cache, we did delete jar, we did load jar. Now let's do register, unregister plugin. Okay. Register plugin, if you spell it right, it's better. No retries. Now here we'll just do register, register plugin. Now here is where the zip file is. So it's also going to be in /temp, I guess. My dot, I'll do my plugin.zip, okay. And schedule type is none, like the rest. All right, create register plugin. All right, now we go in and create one more. And this is unregister plugin. No retries. Unregister. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so now here, your plugin has to match what's in the plugins database. So we got to do okay, there's none here, but the name will be here, and it's usually going to be the package name. So it's going to be something like so it's going to look something like that. Okay, and we can, same thing, no schedule. Next, create this. All right. Okay, so now if you ever need to load a jar, you would put the jar in a temp directory somewhere. You would come in here and run, look for the load jar job. Here it is. You'll do an edit. And you'll change the name, you'll change the location, and you'll change the type, you'll save it, and then run it. And bingo, your jar will get loaded, and then you can start testing, and we're going to be doing that in the next round using the helper classes. Okay, so the code for this is over here. You can go to Zeph and Tech's GitHub, and all the cool stuff in here. There's a little README, and this was all built with NetBeans. Of course, you can use anything you want, but again, it needs the OIM client to build it, and the proper JDK for your OIM environment, and the proper version number for the XML. Hopefully everyone's at least .4 by now. Okay, there we have it.